Why do we cry? Why do we hate? Why do we love? Why do we fight? Why did you change? I feel the pain. It's running my vein. Now you're running away. Why don't you wait? Why don't you face me? I know the truth hurts. Baby girl, I've been searching for you. I've been having some visions of you. Even though you are far away, girl. All I miss in my view. Baby girl, I've been searching for you. I've been having some visions of you. Even though you are far away, girl. All I miss in my view. Oh, for you, I Miami, Colorado. Kaisa, Minewa, you be kind. Oh, for you, I am Tumber, fear. The always in the young kind of baka, baby. 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 Young kind of baka. My words like a dagger. I don't really like when we fight. I'm hurting, my copper is burning. No matter how many times we fight, you got a place right in my heart.
Welcome to Africa Let's Talk. My name is Collins Kofi Oppong. You can call me Mr. Beyond. If you join the conversation, please do well to share this video and invite others to watch it. This conversation is proudly brought to us by the Progressive Individual Resources and, of course, our supporting partners. We are thrilled to have you join us today, Saturday, July 5th, 2025, with what promises to be a powerful and eye-opening conversation. Our theme for today is Winning or Wounds, Gambling and its impact on Sub-Saharan African communities. Gambling may seem like harmless fun for some, but for many others, it can lead to a cycle of addiction, broken families, and of course, financial troubles and emotional distress. The rise of online betting apps and of course, money mobile platforms, and increasing economic hardships have only intensified this issue, especially within our communities. We are honored this morning to have a conversation with two distinguished guests who are joining us. The first is Mrs. Bili Banjoko. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist with deep experience in trauma and recovery, as well as Dr. Richard Oni, an expert in behavioral health and addiction. Of course, my name is Collins Kofi Oppong, and I'll be guiding this conversation. You can always call me Mr. Beyond. So whether you have been personally affected by gambling or you are concerned about someone you love or are just here to learn, thank you for showing up. Your presence today on this conversation is a big part of the solution that we are looking at. You can join us live on Facebook on African Let's Talk, and of course our affiliates, as well as our partners joining us. At this point, I'd like to introduce our guest to the program, Dr. Oni, and of course, Mrs. Bili Banjoko. You are very welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Of course, I'll give you a brief 30 seconds to briefly introduce yourself. I will start with you, Bili Banjoko. Please, I mentioned that you are indeed a marriage, or better still, what we call licensed marriage and family therapist. Can you share just a brief about yourself, please?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Beyond. Thank you for having us here. It's an honor to be here, to be able to share, what we know and learn from the community. Like you said, my name is Bili Banjoko. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm also a Minnesota certified gambling treatment provider. So I'm certified to provide treatment in the area of gambling addiction. And Dr. Oni is my boss. I'll let him take it from here.
All right, Dr. Oni, please take it from there.
We work together. I'm not your boss, but I'm happy to be here this morning. I'm the Executive Director of Progressive Individual Resources. And we've been involved with this gambling, I think, for over 8 years now, different perspective of the gambling. Some aspect of devil's treatment, and the one we're having now is what we call awareness and education. And that has been over 5 years now. at least 5 years for that. And so, and it's been sponsored by the Department of Human Services, the State Department of Human Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for giving a highlight of this conversation. So please, if you join us, share this conversation, invite more people, because indeed, gambling is becoming an issue in our community. And this is why we are having this conversation. I would like to start with you, Mrs. Banjoko. The question that I have for you is, if somebody is actually listening, they want to know what exactly is gambling addiction and how does it differ from casual gambling?
Thank you. So I'll first talk about what gambling is, then transition to what gambling addiction is.
Absolutely.
So gambling is just when you risk money, right, or something that of value to you in a game or in a bet in the hope of winning something back. So yeah, exactly. So the key term here is risk. You're risking something, and there's a possibility that something bad is going to happen when you risk something, like there's uncertainty. Right, it's just a game of chance. You're exposing yourself to more danger, by risking something. So that's gambling. Now, people gamble casually, right? However, it can transition to problem gambling, and problem gambling, or it's called compulsive gambling, it's called pathological gambling, it's called gambling addiction, gambling disorder. It's just an impulse control disorder. It's like you have the person is unable to resist the urge to gamble. For instance, somebody goes to gamble and they win. And then that, it becomes impulsive. Okay, let me go back. I will win again. And then becomes very impulsive. And that urge continues to be there. And, it's just like drug addiction. Once some people ingest the drug, it becomes compulsive. I need it. It's the same thing.
Wow, thank you so very much for sharing some light on what gambling is, as well as gambling addiction as compared to casual gambling. I'm happy you actually shared this. I have some stories myself about gambling, and I think at some point in the conversation, I'll be able to share them as well. I'd like to come to you, Dr. Oni. What are the underlying factors that may lead someone to develop a gambling addiction?
Yeah, there are the underlying factors are very multifactorial in the sense that it's not just one factor. There are few factors that may not even be listed here, but just for the purpose of education and awareness, some of those factors could be some kind of traumatic experiences. See, when people have a traumatic experience, it can lead to range of behaviors. Those behaviors can be part of those gambling issues that we're talking about. And not about that, only when people experience those things, it leads to different behaviors. Job-related stress can also be part of the factors. Sometimes some people have some jobs that are very intensive and very involving emotionally. And some people like to use that to kind of relieve themselves, and they decide to have some behavior, which is gambling can be one of those things that they use to get out of that feeling. Some emotional health also can be part of the factors. People have issues, depression, anxiety, loneliness. Some people think when we go to a casino, you see other people and you socialize with them. And so that kind of loneliness, during COVID, the gambling casino was closed. People were very restless. And so they couldn't go out there to meet the need of their loneliness, financial constraint. And we all know people go there. Sometimes people think it's just only for money, but they go there for those things that we just talk about. Those are the factors. And like I said, there are many factors, but we just give this as overview of that.
Absolutely. The one factor that I can identify with is loneliness. I remember when I migrated to the United States, the first 2 years, sometimes I feel like, wow, I have nowhere to go. It's nowhere. You don't even have anything to do. And that was when I decided to start going to the casino at the time. And I realized that, oh my goodness, this is not a lifestyle that is sustainable, because I didn't have the urge to control how much I will gamble. And thankfully, I do not gamble anymore. But yes, one factor such as loneliness is one that really got somebody like me introduced into gambling. At this point, I'd like to...
Can I add something? Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
I like
please.
to add to that point. I like to add to like the stress from acculturation, like because you brought in when you first came here. The
Right.
stress from acculturation is one of the leading causes of gambling addiction among immigrants. You know, the stress of the language barrier, like not knowing the system, loneliness, like we said, you know, things like that
Yeah.
also contribute to gambling addiction.
And I can add to it too that environment, you know, like you are doing before, beyond that, maybe some of your friends too can even copy you. You know, the environment, you know, my friend is doing this and oh, I like to go and enjoy it. Let me go and taste it.
And
And
taste it.
so, you know, the environment you belong to makes a difference when you practice certain behaviors. You see other people doing it. It's called copycat.
Yes, indeed. Oh yeah, they'll tell you the Super Bowl, hey, let's put money together and do it. And it's funny. I remember at the time I had started a job and it was stressful, of course, as an immigrant, those nice talking and of groceries. And anytime my boss was harsh on me and I had actually gone to buy the Super Bowl in my mind, tomorrow you can't be this to me. I'm going to win the Super Bowl and you can no longer be harsh on me. And it was funny how much people around you, especially when they are involved in gambling, can affect how people also get into it. Of course, I'd like to come to you. Madam Bili, at this point, we want to know what warning signs or behaviors might indicate that one is struggling with gambling problem. Of course, there could be people in our midst, in our homes, in our communities who may be going through gambling addictions, but how can we detect
Right.
that they are going through something like that?
Okay, even the person that is even getting addicted to gambling too has to know the warning signs. Like, is this becoming an addiction? Remember, I said that sometimes it's for fun and then it gradually changes. So if you're thinking about gambling all the time, like you went one time, but your mind is constantly going back, I need to go back. That's a warning sign. You're using larger and larger amounts of money in betting, right? You're trying to stop, but you're not able to stop. Then for people around you, they notice that you're moody or you're cranky, like mood or behavioral changes. That could signify anything. You know, the thing is like with gambling, it's a hidden addiction. You know, if you're addicted to, because people can easily see, but gambling is a hidden addiction. But even people around you can notice, is this person like having behavioral changes? Are they cranky? Are they lying? Are they beginning to lie a lot? Are they beginning to ask you for money? You know, like, oh, you know, can you borrow me this? Can you borrow me that? You know, they're having problems at work, you know, things like that. They are relying on other people to get them through. Like you see increased financial problems. You know, those are all warning signs. So on the person that is gambling, they know, like, okay, my mind, I'm having intrusive thoughts about gambling. On people looking on the outside, behavioral changes, the best person begins to lie. They're lying about where they've been. You don't know, you know, like, and you can't tell. If somebody has been out of the house for hours gambling, you're not able to tell, as opposed to somebody is out of the house for hours drinking. You can tell when they come back that this person is drunk. But with gambling, it's different.
Indeed. All right. Once again, this is African Let's Talk. We're having a very vivid, a very inspiring, and I should say a very important conversation right here on African Let's Talk, because we are speaking about wounds or winning. It's all about the conversation about gambling and how its impact is affecting communities and individuals. And I have with me our guests who are speaking into the issues so that we can be aware of the situation and how we can best deal with it. At this point, Dr. Oni, I would like to find out, when we talk of impact, some people will feel, oh, I mean, if I'm throwing away a few cedis or dollars or naira, or however you want to call it, does it necessarily have any major impacts on individuals or communities or families? When we're looking at it in a larger sense, what impact does addiction gambling bring to these people that I've talked about?
Thank you. It's very important that people need to know that this has a lot of big impact on people. For example, they want to get more money. In the process of that, they are losing more money. So financial problem becomes another issue for them. The money you cannot get, the little you have, you lost it. So that becomes another problem where you start begging for money. So financial problem is one of the impact, negative impact. The social problem, people will come to you see people, they say, oh, it's coming again to beg money. It's going to ask for money. So that becomes a social problem. It becomes another way that people will really avoid you. And you become isolated again because people see you as almost like a professional beggars. You come to them for money all the time. At the point of that, some people who really had money become bankrupt. We've seen some officers, some executive officers in some big companies that use money to gamble, and at the end of the day, they bankrupt themselves. So it's a very big issue. It also affects families, whereby like Billy just mentioned, when people start using the money that need to be used for taking care of the family, and that is used for gambling, so that can lead to separation or even to the level of divorce between the families, because they say, oh, well, every time there's no money, and that is one of the things that connect people together sometimes when it comes to responsibility of the family. So that's part of the issue. And at the end of the day, this kind of thing can lead to people being in prison because you use other money that doesn't belong. You use illegal money to gamble. At the end of the day, you can be in prison for that. Not only that, the stress again is higher than before because now you lost this money. You are thinking, how can I pay them back? So we can see how this is so important to the point where some people will say, what do I have left? They can take their life. They can die of suicide. They can die of that. And so it is important for people to know that this thing has a very negative impact if we don't stop it. Thank you.
Absolutely. It has very negative impact if you don't stop. I've heard stories from across the world, especially from Ghana. Recently, there was, I think, something they call Aviator, which is part of the gambling because they do it on the phone. And people have lost a lot of money. I know somebody who was actually, he used money for a company because he's an accountant of a company. And he ended up gambling 65,000 cedis away. And now he's in prison serving, I think, almost a 15-year term or something. So, of course, it can get dangerous. You can actually damage and a whole family cycle just because of this very addiction. Now, I would like to come to you, Madam. How common is gambling addiction within Sub-Saharan African communities? And, of course, why might it be a situation that it's underreported? I'm bringing this because we talk about it, but we don't know, is it really a big problem in our community? How common is this going on in our communities?
So I'm going to give you the honest answer is that we don't know. We don't know how prevalent it is because there's no data, right?
Yes.
When you do research, there's research about other groups. There's research about like gambling addiction, the prevalence. But amongst our people, there's no data because people are not, there's no, like when people are not seeking treatment, how do you even compile the data? When people are not seeking, how do you even compile? We do all these outreach programs. We educate people. We talk about it. People know what gambling addiction is. One person knows one person who is gambling, but nobody actually admits, because, we have a lot of issues in our community in regards to stigmatization, mental health, addiction, and all that. So to be honest, I'm not able to give you that answer that this is the percentage of people gambling within Sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, I don't know because, because of lack of reporting, lack of data.
Yeah. Okay. And that is actually where importance should be placed, because eventually we have to figure out a way that we can bring to the fore how many people get into this, how is it impacting people? Because for sure there are a lot of people involved, but like you said, our community, even though we live in a very open community, it can also be a closed community where people keep their behaviors to themselves. Even people who have been involved in the past probably would not talk about it. We have a comment that come in, probably it can share a little light on what we are talking about. Icha Gudeta Fufa says, I don't have experience, but from my observation, it looks like addiction. Great discussion. Can you present it for non-English speakers? Thanks, African Let's Talk. Okay, so yes, please, you can keep your comments coming in. Indeed, gambling is a big addiction. It's a very addictive thing. And like I said, I've seen people who have lost their life savings to gambling. I've seen people, because at the end of the day, you feel like, oh, you can put in A and come up with a lot. So, and people don't have self-control and they keep to themselves and they go into their savings. So please, if you have any experience, even if it's not for you and some other people, we are very open for you to share your experience with us so that we can talk about it. Of course, Dr. Oni, do you have anything else to say about why it might be underreported in our community? If not, the question I have for you is that what challenges or barriers prevent people from seeking help or treatment for gambling addiction? Because people are losing their lives, people are dying, people are going crazy and mental health. But why do you think they want to still continue on that path instead of seeking for treatment?
Yeah, thank you for this question. And I'd like to address that and also let the statement that Billy made in terms of number and that's one of the issues. It's a barrier. It's a number game. Before you receive treatment sometime and put money into it, on the system to put money into it, they need to know the number sometime. And so it is important that we have that. Part of the barrier is that shame. People are afraid of this. They are ashamed to talk about it. And the shame also comes from the community. They are afraid that what would the community say about that one, which I will address one later on. Denial. This denial of not having this is a very important thing that we need to know because it's a big barrier. When people deny, we cannot have the number. And the system like to know the number in order to support. So it is very important. Then the trust of the system. Sometimes people don't trust the professionals, like the therapist. They say, oh, the clinician may go out there and they say, oh, this is Billy. I know her and I know her family member. I don't want to go to her, that person. So they don't trust that system. Then the social stigmatization, like my friend knows that I'm gambling. What will he do be saying about that? Then lack of understanding. That was why when the state asked us to do treatment many years ago, we went back to them that people will not come to us for treatment until they know or unless they know that this is a problem. See, in African community, whatever doesn't stop you from doing your day-to-day activity, you are not sick and you are not ill. Some people may tell you, I'm not well, but I'm not sick. How do you define that? And so because of that, we don't have that. That's a big barrier. And that is why this continues to eat us gradually to the point where we don't have treatment for that. They don't come for us. So that lack of awareness and the fact that we believe in curative, we don't do preventative. If you have to go to your dentist, you must have pain in your tooth. You don't have to go there every 6 months that they recommended. So those are the kind of reasons why it's so difficult. It's a barrier, big barrier.
Indeed.
And we need to do that. And that's one of the reasons why we are doing what we are doing this morning, to let people know that it's important. It's an illness. We now know that it's an illness and we need to be treated.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, there's no shame in that because people get into these addiction even from a point of innocence. Sometimes they feel like, oh, I just had extra $10 and I wanted to test my luck, and it leads to other things. There's no shame in that. At the end of the day, you're doing yourself, your generation, your family a good service when you are able to own up to your mistakes and correct them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to stay within your mistakes, it's going to affect you, and not just you, but people around you. So this is a good time to talk about treatment options. So yes, Madam Bili, if you can talk about what support systems or treatment options may be available for those that may be facing gambling addiction at this point.
Right. I'd like to go back to add something to what Dr. Oni said in terms of lack of trust in the clinician, because I'm a clinician. And the thing is, when we're doing these awareness programs, like I'm always stressing it out, like everything is confidential. It's hard for people to comprehend that, but it is confidential. I just know that I don't want to lose my license, if I don't keep it confidential. Like I tell people that even if you see me on the street, you don't have to say hi to me, so people don't know that we have that relationship. But it's something that we have to keep bringing awareness. I just wanted to throw it out there. Right.
I'm happy you mentioned that hey, people's information are very secured with you, and at the end of the day, they do not have to be afraid about sharing their information with you. All right, please, now you can go ahead and talk about
so,
that.
so as far as treatment options, like of course therapy, like that's a good option. And most of the time when we do CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, what CBT does is helps you change the way you're thinking, the way you're viewing things, change your mindset about certain things. Like a lot of intrusive thoughts will come with gambling, so helping you to manage those thoughts, challenging those thoughts and changing them. That's it. There's also medication. Some of the medications that are antidepressants and mood stabilizers have been known to help with gambling addiction. They are not created for gambling addiction, but they have been just like my medicine for OCD or ADHD. Their impulse control, their things like that. They've been found to help with gambling addiction. And then there's also self-help groups, like how they have AA. There's also GA, Gamblers Anonymous. So that's a peer support group where people struggling with gambling addiction can come together. Most of the time, not even all the time, GA is not run by clinicians. It's just the people, the peer support. And then there's also inpatient treatment for gambling, where, because some people that are gambling are suicidal. Because to be honest, out of all the addiction, gambling has the highest rate of suicide out of all the addictions. So some people need to go inpatient when that is happening to help them stabilize and get back into it. So those are the treatment options, right? However, when it comes to people from our community, yes, all these things would work, but we have to also incorporate like cultural practices, things about, because everybody is different. Like what about your culture is maintaining that system, and going from that, from that area. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, recently I've been seeing a lot on my Facebook page. Even people want to kind of come out of alcohol addictions, and they have communities that are helping them. And I think even on Facebook, there are a lot of gambling addiction and recovery pages or groups where people are sharing their stories about how they are recovering. And I think these are very important, especially when people are looking at ways that. Dr. Oni, is there anything you want to add?
Well, no, I think it's pretty much covered that.
Okay.
On top of that, like I said before, when people don't come for treatment, it's important.
Yeah, it is very important. Okay, so and again, Madam Bili mentioned about cultural aspect of it. But what I want to ask you, Dr. Oni, is how does cultural perception of community silence around gambling affect those struggling in secret? I know with conversations like this, we are actually unveiling the whole secrecy and talking about education right now. But in essence, how does our community's perception, especially on cultural perception about community silence, affect how we deal with this? Because our community, sometimes we are too quiet on the things that are affecting us, even though it's taking place within our midst.
Yeah, thank you. This question is very important because culture defines a lot of our behavior. Culture is everything about each individual. Your culture defines what type of illness should you share with people. Culture defines who need to treat you. Should be a male or female clinician. So this culture is very important, and it's been used a lot of time and misused as well. Sometimes people use culture to just get away from something. They say, oh, in my culture, we don't do that. When they know they are doing that, whatever favors people is what they use the culture for. And so this community issue here, the perception is people's reality. They perceive that when you say this to people, they would say it out again. That lack of trust. And that is one time with Billy and I were talking one time, and I said, gee, this is called community gossip syndrome. It's an illness that we get from the community. And so that cultural thing is very important, that we need to take a look at that. And we cannot change people's culture or mindset until we are able to see the importance of your illness. It's easy for somebody to say, I have a diabetic. It's easy for say, oh, I have cancer. But it's not easy to say, I am addicted person. I am addictive to gambling. I'm using money for gambling. I am drinking. and I pass out on the street. People are not saying those things. So the culture define and selectively say, oh, this is what you can say. So that is one of the issues that are very important and causes lack of treatment and causes lack of request for service. Now, lack of request for service is not equivalent to lack of need. Just because you don't ask, that doesn't mean you don't need it.
Right.
That is what is happening. A lot from cultural request for more services, and they are getting it. In gambling, through some of these programs that we have through DHS, we see that there are more data for people from Southeast Africa, Asians. They have more data because they come out to say, this is what we are going through in our community. We don't do that until the last minute when there's help is really difficult to get at that time.
Absolutely.
And so our culture, as much as it can be productive, sometimes it can inhibit some of our needs.
Indeed.
It's very important.
Indeed.
That's
all right.
one.
Yes. Okay, no, thank you very much. As far as surveying our community is concerned, I believe African Let's Talk will be open if it's an option that we can carry out a survey where people wouldn't even have to mention their names or even their emails, and we can just ask them simple questions if they or somebody they know may be going through addictions of gambling, and we would be able to supply that information to you. But I'm happy that, yes, we need to move away from that hiding behind our so-called culture and covering up some of these things. Meanwhile, it's happening. Like there are many things: alcoholism, prostitution, gambling. These are very big issues within our community, even back home in Africa. But we say, oh, our culture, we don't talk about it. But then these are things that are actually going on and eating up people and communities and families. So no, it's very important to start talking about it. But at this point, we'd like to talk about what role does technology, like online betting apps, when soccer season, football season is on, hey, everybody's betting. And Africa has become a big thing. Like the youth, they say, oh, we don't have work to do. That is what we want to do. And they get addicted and they spend all the money. So we want to know, these betting apps and mobile money, what role do they play in fueling gambling addiction today? Please, Madam, if you can take this up for us, Madam.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not an expert on online betting and all that. That's another section. However, this is what we've known because of increased accessibility and convenience. Like you can place your bet anytime, anywhere. You're in your bedroom, regardless, because of your mobile devices. Everybody has access and it's convenient, right? And because of that, it's easy to keep gambling. You can go for hours. The individual can go for hours, no boundaries, no limits, because of the accessibility. That's one thing. Another thing is like psychological manipulation. The online platforms, there's also like rewards, and you go on level, and there's challenges, and that adds to the addiction. Oh, if I go another level, this is what I'll win. Oh, if I, and they keep putting money. So I know there's like a lot of gambling features in games that kids play. They sneak those gambling features into those games. So it might be like playing an innocent game, and there's gambling features there. And then kids, because everything is like the technology is so good that sometimes kids are playing games on their parents' phones, and they spend and then a lot of us have credit cards saved on our phones.
Yeah,
I've heard a story about a child that spent like $5,000 on that. They charged $5,000 on it because it was access. It was there. They just said buy this. He pressed it. The mom's information uploaded, and he bought it. Mom or find out later, so things like that. So that psychological manipulation is there. And then that the real time, like live betting, it allows impulsivity, like, okay, I can do it now, I can do it right away, and then you play, you can bet on live events. That also increases. Then and then the fact that there's easy like money, like the financial ease, like all those like apps, you can just like it enables your financial transactions to go easily like that, and that encourages all this, so those are kind of things that make it like privilege, online betting privilege, because it's so easy.
It's so easy.
there's this urge of, oh, I'm going to win something, and
Yeah, no, the convenience of technology, even though it's created a lot of opportunities and advantages, are also creating a lot of problems, especially for situations like gambling. Because, like you said, easy access, you can easily do it. Sometimes they say all you need is one click, and
yeah.
they make it sound so easy. Or just click it, and that's all you need to do. And like you said, we have to also watch our children, because for me, as a parent, I realized that most of the things that my child would grow up to either do or not do are being introduced in a very, very minute way now. So I have to be aware that what games are they playing? What are they telling them that, oh, you can win this when you move on to this level? Because for like you said, it's psychologically preparing their minds to get into betting, especially when they come of age. We are getting to the end of the conversation, but I would like to come to you. And of course, the two of you can take this question. We want to know, how can families, faith leaders, and community organizations actively support prevention and recovery efforts? We all want to help. I want to help. I want to put my story out there. I want to let people know that, hey, I mean, I've been in this situation before. It wasn't critical, but it got to a point I realized that you work for a week to get, let's say, $1,000, and you spend in one night to spend half of it. It doesn't make sense. I realized that, no, this is not the area for me. But for people who want help, how can communities, faith leaders, and of course organizations provide active support to prevent and even help them in their recovery efforts?
Well, I think through the awareness, the education, the collaboration, the awareness that we are giving this morning on the Facebook, for people to be aware of some of those things we talk about this morning, and then be able to also take it as really an education. A lot of time people need to learn from those things that we just mentioned. And then we also like other people to collaborate, maybe other organizations that are African organizations, that they can spread this in their churches to let them know that, when you have this issue, we have someone in the community or some people in the community that can help. And a lot of time too, one of the things I always tell people is that, you share your illness, share your information. A lot of time people like to go to different programs rather than the one they have. You see, it is important to come to the house because we can understand. We understand your issue. We may not be doing gambling, but we can see why this thing is happening. Right. And that was why when we approached this and wrote the grant, DHS is we're happy to hear that they are able to support this thing for the past 10 years that we've been in operation for this program. And a lot of time collaboration is important. We cannot do it alone. We go to churches to talk about this. We go to the mosque, because when things happen, you first talk to your pastor or your imam. And these people, when they are aware of this, they can now say, hey, we're on the, beyond air this time of the podcast, and they found out that these are the people talking. Can you call them? So Absolutely. It is important. And not only that, this program, you don't have to come out to us with your insurance. See, if you have insurance and you're afraid that you don't want this to be part of your mark, you can come and we can give it for free. DHS provide that provision for us, for Bili to be able to see to be the clinician and do treatment if this is available. If that is what you need, that's fine. If it's just talking about this through education and awareness, it's also there. So it does not cost you anything than to come forward and disclose this so that you are not dying in silence.
Indeed.
It's important.
Indeed. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Dr. Oni, and of course, Madam Bili Banjoko. I truly appreciate your time. But please, Madam Banjoko, if somebody is actually listening and like, hey, at this point, I think I need help, and being a therapist yourself, what information do you have for them? And I want you to please send that invitation for people to really come to you.
So we have, they can go to our website, pr.com, and then all the information is there, right? On how to get in contact with me or with Dr. Oni. And I want to stress it, like, number one is confidential. Number two, like doctor said, is at no cost. So this program that we have will provide services for people struggling at no cost, because a lot of the times people struggling with gambling addiction don't even have, like, they've lost their job, they have financial issues. This is at no cost. Not only that, family members can also come to treatment at no cost. So because it's a thing, like when somebody is gambling, it impacts all of the family. So the family members can also come and receive treatment at no cost, regardless of the person that. So you can come on your, like, okay, this is my wife, she needs therapy as well. We can also do that. So PR.org.
All right. So you mentioned your website. So yeah, we have in the website right on the screen. I think if you type in PIRIMN.org. Yes, you can see the website. So when they come on this website, how do they get in touch? Is there a message they can send, a number they can call?
Yeah, there's contact us, and then there's a section that talks about gambling addiction and how to get help.
Oh, okay. So the contact us page is available. If they click it, so they can either send a message, put your name, Collins, your email, and say, hey, I need help to overcome my addiction on gambling. And then right away, I think you can get in touch with them. So the services where the gambling treatment. If you go on services, you can get all the information about gambling treatment. So please, like, I'm even happy you mentioned that it's not just for people who are addicted directly, but indirectly. If you're a family and you feel like, hey, my sons, my husband, my wife's addiction is causing us problem, you also need counseling. You also need some help. So you can always reach out and get the help that you need. Once again, thank you very much, Madam Bili, and of course, Dr. Oni, for joining us to share this important information. Is there anything we want to say before we end the conversation?
So I'd like to add that you said that you're ready to provide information. I'll call you up on that. I'll invite you to one of our outreach programs to kind of share with other people, since it's hard to get people who are ready to share.
No, for me, I have no problem at all, especially the fact that I'm no longer dealing with it. I have no problem. The only probably betting I do is when I play golf and I'm trying to say, hey, I'm going to win, and I put no more than $10. So I put no more than. So actually, I'll get my golf buddies, because that's one of them. He says, you know what, I am donating my money because I know I'm not going to win. I'm not sure if he's addicted, but we want to hear from them as well. But no, this is very important. So no, I would be more than happy to share my story.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate your time. Once again, this is African Let's Talk. I've been speaking to Dr. Oni and, of course, Madam Bili about gambling addiction in our community and how you can get all the help that you need. Like you said, so like we pointed out, you can visit the website of Progressive Individual Resources, which is PIRIMN.org, to learn on how you can connect with them and seek help for you if you're addicted directly, or for your family who may be also affected as well. My name is Collins Kofi Oppong. Thank you very much. We end this program with a music from our one and only. We call him Kweku Diso. And again, we started the music with him, the program with him, I should say. So we want to play his music. But otherwise, thank you so very much, everyone, for joining. God bless you. Have a great weekend. 4th of July weekend. Find somewhere to go. There are a lot of community events happening today. Find somewhere to go and have a great time. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good evening. Sorry, have a great morning.
Why do we cry? Why do we hate? Why do we laugh? Why do we fight? Why did you change? I feel the pain. It's running my vein. Now you're running away. Why don't you wait? Why don't you face me? I know the truth hurts. Baby girl, I've been searching for you. I've been having some visions of you. Even though you are far away, girl. All I'm missing my feel. Baby girl, I've been searching for you. I've been having some visions of you. Even though you are far away, girl. All I'm missing my feel. Oh, for you, Miami, Coliquato. Kaisa, Minewa, you be kind. baka, baby. Young kind of baka, baka. Baka, baka, baby. Young kind of baka, baka. Baka, baka, baby. Young kind of baka, baka. My words like a dagger. I don't really like when we fight. I'm hurt, hurting, my cup is burning. No matter how many times we fight, you got a place right in my heart. We've been through too much. Shawty, I miss you more. Baby girl, I've been searching for you. I've been having some issues.